back to Sorry We're Booked. New podcast today. Super hyped.
Yeah.
So excited.
Yep.
New year, new decor for the YouTube watchers.
Yes.
For the podcast listeners, I'll describe it to you. We got cowboy boot with flowers, some disco balls, and some nice decor on the walls.
Absolutely.
So check us out on YouTube if you want to see.
Yeah.
But otherwise, we're jazzing this thing up.
New year,
making it fun.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. We're excited to have you here. If you're new to our channel, welcome. If you are one of our active listeners, hi Mom, thanks for listening. Thank you for joining us again. Don't forget to like and subscribe to hear all the different content that we're bringing. Yeah. So to start off this month, the big talk around town is the release of Onyx Storm. Yes. And so we have been waiting for months now.
It's been a year and 2 months.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But who's counting?
Who's counting, right? Who's counting? And so leading up to the Onyx Storm release, we wanted to just go back and review Fourth Wing together, review Iron Flame, kind of refresh our mind of what happened. Like we had the gist of it, but we had to go back and reread because I don't know. They all start to blend together. A lot. And I love rereading because, for something like this, you catch all the little nuances. You're like,
that you missed the first time.
Or you didn't even know to look for because it was a spoiler later on. So, for those who are listening, there will be spoilers in this. So if you have not listened or read Fourth Wing yet, please pause now. Come back later because we will definitely be going over spoilers for both Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. And then, of course, each month we're going to have a book club read where you can follow along with us. And, of course, February's is going to be
Onyx Storm.
So all of this will accumulate to end the month with the Onyx Storm synopsis, recap, what we thought. Because you said there's going to be more books, right?
Oh, there's 5.
Oh, no.
I know.
Oh, no.
It's kind of scary.
Yeah, I'm not mentally prepared yet.
Question for you.
Yes.
When a new release comes out that you're like super hyped for, are you like a binger that just cranks through it as fast as possible, or do you savor it? Because I don't know. I feel like your reaction just gave it away. But
do I like the idea of savoring? Absolutely. Do I? No. It's just like any dessert at a restaurant. I'm like, I'm going to be good. Just like a few bites at a time. And then all of a sudden it's like, girl, almost bit my husband's hand off to be like, no, I'm getting to the end of it first. So honestly, I'll probably finish it way too quickly and then be sad and depressed that it's over. And I did that to myself. Yeah. So yeah. What about you?
No one to blame but you.
No,
I'm the same way. And then we talked about this earlier, but rereading Iron Flame specifically, because Fourth Wing we read when it wasn't really hyped up very much. We knew that it was going to be kind of the new fantasy book, but we had no idea what kind of empire that it would turn into.
Right.
Reading Iron Flame the first time, man, I cranked through that probably in 2 to 3 days. Oh, yeah. I missed so much. So much.
Yeah.
And so I'm hesitant to do the same thing with Onyx Storm and not get to, understand fully what's going on or appreciate it. I can always do a reread, but I think I might try to pace myself out a little bit.
Yeah.
We also know, I was telling Jess earlier, Rebecca Yarros did a video where she put all 3 books on her bookshelf. And from the looks of it, Onyx Storm is about the same length, if not shorter, than Fourth Wing. Okay. So it's not going to be
an epic
600 to 700 pages of miscommunication.
No. Yeah. If there is miscommunication in this one, so help me, Rebecca. So help me.
Please.
Do not do that to me. Come on. No. But yeah, it's going to be good. I think it's going to be amazing. We had talked about how in our last couple episodes, 2024, like we had ups and downs where overall we're like, okay, it ended up being better than we thought. But this is kind of it for us. We're like, this is going to be the start of a great year of reading.
Absolutely.
So we're pumped. We got our pre-orders in, locked in and loaded. I'm getting it in like a few days because we're filming a little bit early. Sprayed edges. We already talked about that. Got to get those sprayed edges. Oh gosh, they're doing so many individual releases.
I saw that.
How do you feel about that? Have you seen more authors doing that? That there's like a Barnes & Noble exclusive and a Target exclusive and a Walmart exclusive, and they have like either different chapters or different cover designs. Like, how do you feel about that?
I'll be honest, not great.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of a money grab.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because like obviously some are cooler than others, and so those are going to be the ones that are in demand and sell out and then be sold for, 5 times the amount that they're
so
actually
sad.
worth. The one that really got me, and this is totally off topic, did you see the ACOTAR new editions that came out?
No.
So Sarah J. Maas is putting out ACOTAR, the 5 books, a Barnes & Noble edition, but it's all just plain black. That's like the special edition is like the covers are just plain black. But they're going for like uber expensive prices because it's a special edition, and people are kind of upset because they're like, it's literally just black.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like cool fan art.
that
It's
makes
not
me sad.
cool. You know, it's I feel like there's so much potential to do, special editions well, and then
Yeah.
maybe just do it once.
Yeah.
But then when you put out like 6 or 7, it's like, okay, they're not special anymore.
They're
It's
doing
just
that with the
another
albums,
edition.
too. Didn't like Taylor Swift do that too?
Yes.
I don't
Yes.
collect any of those, but for books, like, again, I'm never going to bash someone else's hobby. So if you're someone that likes all 7 copies of, the series, okay, that's your thing. What makes me sad though is when the content is different.
Yeah.
If it's different covers, different art, okay, I can understand that. You like the beauty of this one and the simplicity of that one. But if it's like this book at Target gets, Zayden's point of view, and this one at Walmart gets this,
Yep.
I'm like, no. You know what that's going to make me do? It's going to make me go to Target, get the book, sit in an aisle, read it, and then put it right back. Because I'm like, look, I don't got the funds for that.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. So it's just, something I saw, and what brought me to this is I saw the Onyx Storm pre-order, and the one on Amazon had, the different dragons on the side, really beautiful. Well, then I think now Target has their special edition, which is just one dragon and smoke coming out of it. And everyone's like, oh, I regret my Amazon pre-order. I'm like, first, you still have time. You can cancel it and buy it else. But also, why? Why?
Yeah.
And so I'm happy with what I got. I'm not going to change it. If you give me a different point of view or a different ending, I'm just going to go to the different store and read it and move on. But I don't need to gotta collect them all. It's not Pokemon.
There's also,
a drag.
this is terrible, but there are people that leak it. They'll literally put pictures of the pages.
Oh, even better. I don't gotta.
So you don't even have to make the trip.
Yeah,
You'll just find it.
Like, look, Reddit. What? Show me all the different ones.
Well, it's not fair. You get more of the book just for spending more money, and to me, that kind of just takes away the whole point of the story.
Yeah,
I don't know.
The beauty of it all. Yeah, the simplicity. So, so we're excited. All that to say, we're excited. We have our Onyx Storms locked in and loaded. We're ready to go. We're counting down the days for it to release. And so with that, we did kind of do a little bit of a reread of Fourth Wing. And man, I'll tell you something. I was talking to my mom the other day. She loves reading fantasy books as well. And she's reading, I think Throne of Glass or something. And she got kind of a name confused. And I was like, no, that's Sorengale at Fourth Wing. They all start to sound alike.
Yeah.
Well, we're going through this recap, and I'm like, Lainey, think of all these different names. You got Violet, you got Sorengale, you got Zayden Ryerson, you got Navarre, you've got Tarn, you've got Indarna, you've got Scale, you've got Dean, you've got Dane.
Yes.
Dean.
Aracia.
Aracia.
What was the
Primonial. Paromial. And then you got Venom versus Wyvern versus Griffin versus
just a normal dragon.
Everything. And then you got the Basgiath War College. You've got the different what are they called? The different
squadrons.
Yep. Oh, which, by the way.
And then the wings.
Yes.
And then
when she added the map in the second book after the or like the organizational chart. I'm like, where was that in book 1? I needed that in the beginning. Like wing leader and no.
Yeah.
So all that to say, if you're as confused as we were, you're not alone. And if you are not confused and it's just us,
sorry.
Yeah.
We're trying our best.
Mate. Good on you. Must be nice.
And if we pronounce something that you think should be pronounced differently, we're human.
Yeah, don't
we're
come
trying
at
our
us.
best.
Don't come at us. Yeah. It's like sorry, tangent. It's like Hermione in Harry Potter. Okay, but
it all goes
it
back.
all goes back. Are we shocked? I'm exhausted. But when I was reading it as a kid, I thought it was Hermione.
Oh,
I was like, oh, Hermione, how beautiful.
We love Hermione.
And then it took Victor Crumb in book 4 to be Hermione. I'm like, he's stupid. That's not how you pronounce it. And then she's like, yes, that's exactly how you pronounce it. And I'm like,
mind blown.
Like, I can't go back. And so don't come at us if you're like, oh, it's actually Riorson or something like that. I'm like, I don't know what that means. It's Zayden Ryerson. I
And that's
listen to
what
the
we got.
Audible.
Yeah, exactly. If they say it in Audible like that, that's how I'm going to pronounce it.
Yes. Okay. So fourth wing, we got Violet, who was
Yep.
sent to the writer's quadrant by her mom. She was, raised her whole life to be a scribe.
Yep.
Her dad was a scribe and wanted her to go into that quadrant. And her mom said, yeah, no, hard pass. You're going to do this because I'm a writer and because your sister's a writer and your brother's a writer, yada, yada. Come to find out, she's got
Brittle bone disease, I think. Yeah, I'm not sure what the technical name is, but she just breaks really easily.
Yeah. So it was a big deal that this was, that kind of representation as well. That even though she had that, she was going after the hardest quadrant there was. So there's a lot going on with that. My favorite thing to always do when I look at these books, just like Harry Potter, what house would I be in? I tried to think of like what quadrant or what is it quadrant?
I think so.
What quadrant? So there's the 4 quadrants.
Yep.
You got what were they?
They are scribes, riders, infantry, and then healers.
Healers. Okay.
What do you
Oh yeah,
think?
her brother was a rider. Yeah.
No, her brother's a healer.
Her brother's a healer. Okay,
Yeah.
I was getting that confused. Sister, mother, riders.
Riders.
Dad, scribe, brother, healer.
Yep.
Okay. No one infantry. Okay. Yeah. So what do you think you would have been if you could go?
Oh gosh. The part of me that like wants to be cool is like, yeah, I'd totally be a writer. I wouldn't. No chance in heck. I would probably be a healer.
Oh, I love
think.
that.
Yeah, just with like my biology background and then, working in medicine and stuff like that, I think that would be super cool.
Yeah.
It's not the coolest of the quadrants.
Yeah.
I'm not doing the cool,
No, I think that's super cool. Are you kidding me? You heal people, man.
Maybe. I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'm super cool.
Yeah, I would not be a healer.
I'm
I'd walk
healing.
by you and be like, I'm so sorry. Good luck. Oh. Like, no. Anyway. No, that's awesome. That's very admirable, too.
Yeah.
That's very admirable.
I think that's what I would be.
Yeah.
I'm also a Hufflepuff, so I feel like those
You're
just...
a Hufflepuff.
Oh, girl.
I love that about you. I love that for you. That's awesome. That's awesome.
I feel like they go hand in hand.
They do. Okay. I can
Maybe.
see that. Yeah. I guess, that explains it because mine go hand in hand, too, I think. I think I would have been a scribe.
Okay.
Because...
I could totally see that.
Right? Here's the thing. Could I be silent in the background? No. So, could I be unbiased? Absolutely not. I'd be like, guess what she did during threshing? Yeah. So would I be a good scribe? No. I would have gotten kicked out in the first semester, but that's what I would have gone for. I would have loved it. I love history and accuracy and,
Books. Libraries.
Books. I love being in the library. So yeah, I could do all of that. I just couldn't do the whole be silent in the background. Yeah. I wasn't made for that.
Yeah.
But I'm also a Ravenclaw.
That makes sense. There you go.
The brightest witch of my age, even though I'm not. No, I was a Ravenclaw. Do I try to trick those tests into being a Slytherin? Yes, but it never works.
You want to be Slytherin?
Yes, they're misunderstood.
You've been watching or reading too much Hermione.
Yeah, I am. I always will. Yes, they're misunderstood. Which is funny because I think I'm married to a writer.
Oh, without a doubt. Michael is as well.
They're firefighters.
They're firefighters. It's literally what they signed up for.
Even though they would technically be like healers too, I don't think they have the patience.
No.
Bless him. I don't think he would want to be a healer. He'd be like,
they would absolutely, want to be in the action, fighting, doing all the bloody, gory stuff.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Hard pass. I'd be behind him writing it up. Being like, ooh, look what he did. He just stabbed this guy. Yeah. So that would be mine. And then, so some of the other things that go on with that is they have, so she makes it into the writer's quadrant. Well, even before that, there's so much they have to do along the way. They have to cross a parapet, which is just like, a 1 foot wide beam?
Itty bitty.
Yeah, itty bitty beam across a cavernous, vast
valley.
Valley. Yeah. So then they do that. And then once they get through there, what else starts from there? They start classes. They start
training, combat. I know that the way that Violet was able to get through a lot of her combat, they pair up, riders against each other to fight. Is that how did she, it was her brother's old book.
Journal.
Yeah, old
They didn't burn it.
journal where you could find out who you were going up against. And then she somehow signed up for like breakfast early morning shift and would sneak like little things into their breakfast to make them dizzy or throw up. And she just happened to win all of these, combat trainings because of it. So she used her wits and her smarts.
She cheated. I love it.
Yeah, she cheated.
She was like, because
you do what you gotta do.
Yeah, bless her. She knew where her strengths and weaknesses were, and that was an area that she was like, I'm not going to make it unless I have this. Eventually, she gets to that point where she's just a total badass. Yep. But before that, she was like, I got
a lot to learn.
Yeah. So then they do all the combat training. They do the war strategy courses. They do, this is before they find out. I mean, before threshing, even before they're constantly talking about threshing, which is if you make it through all of that, you get paired up with the dragon. I'd like to think, okay, if you had gone into the Riders quadrant, you think you would have made it all the way?
I don't know, dude. I really don't. I feel like it's one of those things where you know yourself, and I know when I would have given in. I'll say this. I feel like I could have done the training and all that kind of stuff. Where I would have crumpled and probably failed is like if I had to be under interrogation at any point. I'd be like, what do you want to know?
Yeah.
I'll tell you everything. I'm giving all away the secrets.
Yeah.
Sitting there and getting all your bones broken and your face.
And then re-healed.
Yeah, and then to then break again. Oh,
messed up.
Heck no.
Yeah.
That's like a genuine fear I have is like if I know secrets of the United States.
Don't give her
don't
the
tell
codes.
Me anything. Would you have made it? You think so?
Oh gosh, no, hard pass. No. I like to think in like zombie apocalypses, I'm first out. Like just
why do you want to? Yeah, why do you want to even put yourself through that?
First off, I'm not wanting to be a rider as much as I'd love it. I don't like heights, so automatically out. But two, honestly, I probably would have fallen on the parapet, knowing me, just knowing that I would have gone too slow and they would have shoved me off, or I would have made it all the way across and the last second just slip and yeet out of there, and be like,
there goes Jess.
Yep. Bye. No, knowing me, I would have done that. If I had made it, I think, gosh, it's the fact that people can just challenge you out of nowhere and just kill you that I think I would have been like done in. So no, I'd like to think that I would have made it, but I know myself.
Yeah,
I know
that's
myself.
Why you're a scribe and I'm a healer.
I'm good. I'm chilling. Yeah, I would have loved the physical aspect of it, but again, like just thinking of what was it? The maze? Not the maze.
The little game where the balls and I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, where they're having to like climb a wheel and climb up a ramp. I'm like, look, I know Violet can do it. Good on her. Again. No, it's not a strength of mine. I'm 5'1" on a good day. Wouldn't have made it up that ramp. I think of like the gladiator games and I'm like,
sorry.
No,
it's not happening.
So no, I wouldn't have made it, sadly, but hey,
that's okay.
Yeah, I would have gotten a shout out and roll call.
Yeah, there you go.
There goes Jessica. Who was she? I don't know. She didn't even make it past
honor her name to Malik.
Pour one out for her for Malik. Yeah, no, hard pass. But yeah, so all that to say, she gets through all that. Of course, day one, she meets the bad boy.
Yep.
Mr. Zayden Ryerson. Did I say that right, or am I getting them confused?
Zayden Ryerson.
Zayden Ryerson. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, you good.
So what's the backstory on that?
Yeah, backstory on Zayden. So he is part of the rebel children, right? They are the children of the parents who decided to rebel against the Terrish general, right?
Yes.
They tried to lead a revolution and then they failed. And so then, they all got killed and then their children were punished and tortured and beaten and they have marks on them. So they call them the marked ones.
Yes.
And so Zayden's all tatted up and he's got 100 scars on his back from, the lashings that he endured for, spoiler for all, his
people,
fellow marked ones.
They're forced into the Riders Quadrant.
Yep.
Every child of one of the rebellion leaders is forced in the Riders Quadrant.
And they kind of have this clique, you know?
Yeah, but they have a lot of rules against them too, because it's like if there's 3 or more together, like they can't have 3 or more together or it's considered an act of rebellion.
Yep.
I mean, there's just so much going on there. Everyone hates him. Because they tried to.
No one trusts them.
No one trusts them. Immediately I'm in love. All you gotta do is say he was broody and had neck tattoos. I'm like, I'm in.
Yep.
There's my shadow daddy already. Let's go. What has he got? Let's go.
Where does he compare in book boyfriends for you? That's a good question.
That is a good question. Let me think. I'm way too close. Okay. I mean, he's below Reese, whatever.
Same for me.
Yeah. He's below him, but above everyone else. He's got the toucher and die vibes. I'm like, I love it.
Yeah.
He's
number 2 for me.
Yeah. Number 2.
It goes Rhysand and then Xaden.
Yeah. I think it's just you come to find out throughout like book 1 of course he hates her right off the bat, but it didn't last very long. Yeah. I don't remember. Do you think he fell first or did she fall first?
I think she fell first. He fell harder.
Ooh. Okay.
I think that's what happened.
Okay. Yeah. I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, immediately fell in love. They're like, here's the bad boy. He's the enemy. I'm like, sign me up.
Yep.
They're all trying to push Dane as the best friend.
Yep.
I'm like, hate him already.
Yep.
Nice guy at first. He's so nice.
At first.
He's so nice. And then all of a sudden you're just like,
you're a narc.
Yeah.
You're sorry. An absolute narc.
I was going to say, okay. So with Dane, her best friend, all these students have signets once they bond with a dragon. They have a signet, which is like a special ability that comes from the relationship with the dragon, so it manifests in different ways. We come to find out Dane has a secret one that, because a lot of them wear patches that show what their signet kind of symbolizes, and his is secret. He does tell her right off the bat. It is I don't know the name of it.
It's where he can read people's minds if he touches them,
If he touches them.
Yeah.
Or he can read their minds or their thoughts
or
something.
Or the past memories.
He has to physically touch them.
Yep. Is it just the face or is it anywhere on their body? I forget.
I thought it was anywhere.
I thought so too. And then when I was rereading Iron Flame, his total tangent, it said something along the lines of like he reached for her face. And I was like, oh, does he have to? Anyways.
Maybe closer to the brain, clear the thoughts.
Maybe.
Good antenna reception. I don't know.
It's a little fuzzy down here.
Yeah.
Let me adjust.
Let me get a little bit higher up. So he can read thoughts. And so anyways, her best friend since childhood, she comes in because she was in love with him as a kid.
Yep.
So you're like, oh, this is her childhood love interest, crush. Yeah. And in my opinion, he really did have her best interest at heart. The whole time he's trying to, like, when she first shows up, he's like, let's get you in the scribe. I can get you out of this. Like, let me protect you. He's got those protector vibes.
Yeah.
He's a guardian,
he really is.
And so I loved him for that.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, you got someone there for you. He ain't it, but you got someone there for you. So I loved him for quite a while. It was when he kept pushing it even against her wishes that I'm like, all right, you're kind of getting on my nerves. You're still a good friend, but from a distance, like, you know, then we come to find out, I don't know how far into it, where we find out kind of the spoiler from him is what was it that he
didn't he betray her by giving over the information that he read from her mind?
Right.
Yeah.
So throughout the book, they do talk about how he like will touch her quite often. Cause again, they're friends.
Yeah.
And you don't think about it. They mention it a couple of times because he only tells her. He doesn't tell anyone else her abilities. And he'll mention he grabbed her hand, he touched her, he gave her a hug, and you don't think anything of it unless you're like super astute and you're trying to find it. It just went over my head for a long time.
Mine as well.
Yeah. And then as they get throughout the book and they're starting to do like the war games and they're getting sent off to a mission that was kind of like a suicide mission essentially, but not without their knowledge. It was one of the general's
They just thought
assistants.
they just thought it was a test, like basically.
Part of the war game. Yeah. Come to find out, like Dane gave some information to his dad.
Yep.
Who
Captain
is the
Atos.
assistant. Yeah. Who's Sorengale's mom's assistant.
Yep.
Assistant to the regional manager kind of thing.
A real Dwight Schrute.
Yeah. Wants to be the leader so bad, is not. And so he betrayed her.
Yeah.
Now,
big time.
My question to you, because I think this is a really hot take in the book community, maybe not as hot as I think it is, but do you think Dane was genuinely trying to look out for her, or do you think he's a snake?
Oh gosh. Are we talking purely fourth wing, or can I go
purely fourth wing?
Purely fourth wing.
Like when you were reading it, what did you think of him?
when I read Fourth Wing, I thought total snake.
Mm.
I didn't think he was redeemable in Fourth Wing.
Yeah.
That's what I'll say.
Okay. Well, because one of the reasons for that too is they talk so much about how he's a rule follower.
Yep.
Like to the books.
He'll sacrifice anything to follow the rules.
Yes, anything. To the point where he didn't believe her, even though, it was just crazy. So as a fellow rule follower to a T, to the point where it is absolutely a flaw in me, I related to him, but I also just didn't think that, I genuinely thought he had her best interests at heart. I didn't think he was a snake. I don't think he knew. Yeah, I didn't think I didn't love him.
It was done with the purest of intentions.
Yes. I didn't love him by the end of it. And I was honestly like, oh, cut him out of your life. Like, he's gone. We're done. One and done. Yeah, I'm done with him. But I genuinely don't think that he knew what was going on or that his father looped him in. Like, I don't think, even though he had a clearance, I don't think him telling his dad, he thought his dad would do what he ended up doing.
Wow.
So
that's an honest opinion.
I genuinely was like, at the end of it, I'm like, man, that sucks. To the point where I was almost mad at her for how harsh she was on him. I'm like, I get it. He messed up. He terribly, but I believe him. Yeah. Like, I did believe him. I just thought he was kind of an idiot. Yeah. I mean, honestly, like a bad friend, but I didn't think he was like, I'm going after her because she's breaking the rules, or I'm going after her because she's in love with.
That's why I think he was a little snaky, is because I think it was a little malicious when it came to his jealousy with Xaden.
Yeah.
So maybe it just open to interpretation, but I could see where you're coming from of like, I'm sure it was done with pure intentions. Yeah. You know, he thought he was doing the best thing because it was following the rules.
Yeah. Well, and Rebecca does a great job of this too. The way she writes it too makes you think that he knew what was going to happen. Yep. I think one of the things was, as they were going off, Xaden and Violet and her whole team, they were going off to the war games, going off to that next challenge or whatever. As they were leaving, Dane's like, I'm really going to miss you. Yeah. Because she made her choice. She said, I choose Xaden over you. And he's like, I'm going to miss you. And the way Rebecca alluded to that, it was like he knew she was about to go off to like fight for her death. Yep. And then when she comes back all ragtag and worn out and near death, she was like, you knew. He goes, no, I just meant I'm going to miss you, girl.
You were my friend and now you're not.
And you picked him over me. I'm sad. I'm heartbroken. I'm like, oh.
But when you read it in Fourth Wing, you're like, oh my gosh, he totally knew what she was going to die.
You son of a biscuit. Like, you knew literally. What you were doing. Yes.
Literally.
Yes. So, I can see where a lot of people like hate him and stuff. And, we'll talk about an iron flame of like, did you think he redeemed himself? Do you think, he has it in him?
Well, I was going to say there's the whole theory, and we can talk about Rebecca's interview, but there's the whole theory that Dane is the true love interest. Instead of Xaden, Xaden's going to be like the Tamlin. Yeah. And I was telling Jess earlier, there's an interview with Rebecca Yarros. Somebody asks her something along the lines of like, is Dane going to be redeemable and be the love interest? And she responds with, who hurt you and why was it Sarah J. Maas? So she evaded the question, but I feel like it's safe.
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like Xaden's in game. They're bonded.
Do you? I was gonna say, do you? Well, because that's the other thing. So we're gonna get into the dragon portion. So she makes it all the way through. Yep. She gets through threshing, which is like this whole other, what is it, like stage where
you just gotta walk and the dragon chooses you, and if they don't like you, they can scorch you and all the things. And she gets bonded to the biggest dragon out there. Yeah. Taryn.
Yeah. Second, is he the second biggest or the biggest? Because I know the general.
Good question. Maybe I'm misspeaking.
I think he's the second biggest black dragon, but the biggest dragon to bond outside of that one.
Yes.
And then not only that, she bonds not one, but two dragons, which has never been done before. And so with that comes like the signet powers and all that fun stuff. My favorite portion of the book and the Audible is you start to get the dragon's thoughts, which is like hands down, I think my favorite part.
The
of
best commentary.
I think they're better than the main characters.
Yes.
Like Taryn and Sigale's and Darna's conversation. And Darna.
Yeah.
There could be a whole book on Darna, and I'd probably just read it. Her and Taryn's relationship is my favorite.
It's so sweet.
It's my favorite. And that was unique for me because I've read many books with dragons, but that was the first time of getting dragons' point of views and their thoughts. And I thought Rebecca did that so
Very,
well.
very well.
She gave them such great personalities,
Yeah.
like very clear, like the
Distinctual.
Yes.
Yep.
Like Grumpy Sunshine, but in a mom or in a dad-daughter relationship kind of setting. I'm like, that's so cute. And so, yeah, we get to that portion where they have the dragons, which, again, if I had made it that far, I would have been scorched during threshing. In no way, shape, or form do I think I would have made it onto a dragon. But I digress. So we get to the dragons, and that's when we learn that Violet's dragon, Taryn, is, what is it, mated
and bonded,
bonded with none other than our favorite shadow daddy, second favorite shadow daddy, Xaden's dragon Scale.
What a coincidence.
Who would have thought? Like, not only that, it's like, oh, not only is it never happened that you bond two dragons, but it's also rare to have dragons who bond and mate.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, look at that.
Yeah.
It just so happened that my enemy, who I just find deeply
irresistible,
disturbingly attractive, I can't stand him so much. I'm in love with him. It's my dragon's little wifey. Yeah. So what happens with that? Like,
so from what I remember, I mean, since they're bonded, that means that basically when Sigale goes into they have to mate and do dragon things, and then that leads to Xaden and Violet's attraction even more. And there's a whole period where you don't know if they like each other just because of the dragons or if it's actually because of, you know, their own personal interests. But basically, if I hope I get this right, if Taryn dies, then Violet will die.
Yes.
And if Sigale dies, then Xaden will die.
yes.
And since Xaden and Violet are now bonded, if Xaden dies, Violet dies. And if Violet dies, Xaden dies.
Yes.
Did I get that right?
Yes. The only thing I think is if Xaden, well, here's the thing, because if Xaden dies, Sigale can technically move on. Like, she can still live.
That's right.
She can still
Dragons
live.
are fine.
Yeah. They say, but they also say like it gets harder and harder each time. And so we find out that Taryn like really struggled after he lost his previous rider to find another. And so the whole theory, or what they say quite a bit, is that if Violet dies, Taryn couldn't handle it again. Like, he would die if she died. We don't know that for certain. But it's heavily implied that like it would be too hard for him because he bonds so well with Violet that if she dies, he dies. And if Taryn dies, Scale dies. And if Scale dies, Xaden dies. And we're all just unhappy at that point. It's all just depressing. So essentially they're linked for life. And not only that, but Taryn and Sigale cannot be away from each other longer than a certain amount of time, like
a week
or 2 weeks, without, because like mates are supposed to be really close by. So fortunately for us readers, that means they're stuck with each other.
Forced proximity. It's every trope. Every trope.
Enemies to lovers, forced proximity, bad boy, shadow daddy, rebellions, tattoos, all of it. Tattoos. So all that to say, yeah, they're linked together. The other thing we find out is, and here's where some of my theories kind of go off the deep end, is they can heavily sense their dragon's emotions and thoughts, to the point where like they're having to learn how to shield themselves out of it. So Xaden and Violet, you know, have been kind of like tension building the whole time, flirty, you know, hate to love each other kind of thing, but nothing has really happened besides like a couple of caging in with the arms across walls, which we love. Anyways, all that, well, Taryn and Sigale, when they get all hot and heavy, they start to feel it on their end if they can't
shield
it. So for me, I had a hard time believing they actually loved each other.
I did too, for a very long time, because I'm like, well, obviously they're just getting after it, so that's what's making them want to get after it. I'm trying to think, I think Xaden kisses her when the dragons aren't doing anything, and that's when it's like solidified that like it's his own desire.
I don't know. All I remember was lightning bolts,
armoire,
breaking the armoire, and you're like, oh gosh. Which all that. So there's the other thing is we find out that Violet's signet is lightning wielder. Which again is so rare. so rare.
And
I'm
then
like,
Zayden's is wielding of shadows, so he can cloak
the legit
himself.
shadow daddy.
Yeah, he can
legitimately. um, you know, I think I said this maybe previously, and if not, I don't know. I do love the disability representation with Violet. What really starts to get me with all of these books is, do I love a woman who can overcome every odd? Yes. Do I love reading that in every single book? No.
Yeah.
I don't love that, she was so weak in the beginning that no one thought she'd make it, and she made it. I don't love that she not only bonded the biggest and most powerful dragon, but she got 2 dragons. I don't love,
it's just a lot of coincidences.
Yeah, I don't love that her signet is rare.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want her to have like metal bending. I'm like, okay, that's kind of boring. But do they all have to correlate?
Be so dramatic?
Yes.
Yeah.
So like, you're unique. I'm like, oh man, what about us normal people that just want to feel, I don't know.
Just the average Joes.
Yes. They're not the most gorgeous. They don't have the
silver hair,
like,
the
oh my
second
gosh.
signet. So that's another thing. Since she bonded 2 dragons, we don't know what her second signet is. It has not come out through her abilities. But yeah, she wields the lightning, and that comes into effect later. So backtracking, I guess there's a character that we need to mention, Liam, right?
Liam.
We find out about him about maybe a quarter of the way through the book, and he is Zayden's foster brother. They were both rebel children together, right?
Yes.
Marked ones. And he kind of takes Violet under his wing because Zayden, when he's away, wants somebody to watch over Violet, and so he's kind of like her bodyguard, right?
Yes,
Was what does he call himself? I think essentially the bodyguard, and so the entire book, she's angry at first that she's got to have this basically just shadow around her, always following her, making sure that she doesn't get into trouble, that she does things the right way. And then they form this friendship, and he's really sweet.
Yeah, it's just whittling little wooden figures in the background. You're like, oh, you're so precious. I love
So
you.
pure.
Yeah, he's
So
just like
pure.
cutting away a dragon. You're like, oh, you sweet, beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're all gorgeous as well. They talk
Yes.
about him and his beauty.
Yep.
As
Blonde.
blue
Yep.
eyes.
Yep.
Right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Michael always says that he looks like him, and I'm like, y'all are
Aw.
like, identical.
Yeah. And so, we love them. And so I love the relationship that they ended up forming throughout. I always forget that they were foster siblings. I mean, they're not blood related, but they're foster siblings. I always thought he was his cousin, but I get him and Bodhi.
Yep.
Yeah, which I like Bodhi too.
Yeah.
Side tangent. I love all these little side characters that there are, Rhiannon and all of
Yeah.
them. But I always get them confused, and so I forget sometimes that they were that close.
Yep.
But yeah, that's how we really find out. Like I love it because he gives away a lot of like some of the secret answers and stuff like that to Zayden, because Zayden's so secretive, and that's one thing, miscommunication tropes throughout, but it's one thing I couldn't stand about him is that like he demanded transparency from Violet, but yet he
never gave it.
No. And I was like, I can't fully trust you at that point. And so I don't know how I feel about him throughout the first book. I obviously loved him, but at the same time, I was like, you bother me at points. So yeah, we had that with him. But we do find out. So did we know right off the bat? I think they were uncertain. They're uncertain throughout the first book if Violet is going to have 2 signets.
I think
they
so.
assume, because no one's ever bonded 2 dragons.
I think it's an assumption.
Yeah, it's an assumption of like, well, if you get 1 dragon, you automatically get a signet, and if you get 2, you get 2, but we don't know for certain.
Right.
But one thing they do bring up is that if you, and I could be getting this wrong, if you bond a dragon within the same family line, so say a dragon bonded with your grandfather, died, and then the dragon bonds with you again, you're more likely to get 2 signets. Is that what it is?
Yep.
And so then we find out throughout the book that technically Sigale was bonded with
Zayden's granddad.
Granddad.
Yeah.
So then in the back of your mind, you're like, does he have 2 signets?
Yeah.
And but it's kind of very vague throughout the first book. It's very vague of like, do you have 2 signets? What does that look like? Because I think a lot of people forget that he is bonded to, a relative's dragon. And so that ends up being that's more in book 2 though. Is the big
that comes into
premises,
play.
right?
Yeah.
But they do emphasize some interesting things throughout the first book of like, yeah.
Yeah, the whole first book, you don't know what to think about Xaden, kind of, because you don't know if he's hiding another second signet, what he's hiding as far as being a marked one. It's just a bunch of secrets the whole time.
Well, you already got trust issues because Dane already happened at that point, and you're just like, because we get to the war games, right?
Yep.
Now I'm forgetting the premise of the war games of like why they do that. Is that how they end up graduating that year?
I think so.
Like they have to go through it.
They have to go through it in order to graduate.
Okay. I'm forgetting though why. I guess it's for everyone. I don't know, because
they all get split up and basically are told by, isn't it Captain Atos that sends them off?
Yeah.
Basically this is your final game. Here you go. Go for it. They fly off thinking that they're just going to fight like normal dragons / warriors type thing. And then they get there and it's a bunch of wyvern, which traces back to literally chapter 1 of the book, where Violet's recounting the fables that her dad used to read to her about wyvern and venom and it just were myths. She didn't think that they were real, and then she shows up and she's like, oh my gosh, all the things that I was told as a kid are right there in front of me, and I'm about to have to fight them and figure it out.
Well, because that's the whole thing. So throughout the whole book, wyvern and venom, so venom are humans who took magic or power
evil,
from the earth. And if you pull, so that's the thing, is everyone at Basgiath or whoever has a signet, like they pull from their dragon. They pull power from their dragon, but venom pull magic or power from the earth, and when you do that, that's when you become evil. Then they create through runes, they create wyvern, which is like a lesser, more evil dragon. Well, throughout the whole book, wyvern and venom aren't real, so it's not actually talked about a whole lot until the very end. What's really
I totally forgot about them until the end,
but because the big focus is on griffin riders and a neighboring community that they're constantly fighting against. So the whole story, they're worried about griffin attacks. Like that's what they talk about the whole time: griffin attacks, and the riders that are on the griffins. And so when they get to this war game town, they're expecting to find that, but in reality they find the wyvern and the venom. But this is where the miscommunication comes in, because we come to find out Xaden has been with other marked ones. The whole book has been supplying weaponry to the griffin riders
to fight
the wyvern and venom. Now it's a huge betrayal of trust, because for Violet, this whole time, she thought that was the enemy. So then to find the guy that she at this point has, had lightning strike love with, and lightning worthy love with, and, has started to really build trust and love with, we come to find out he's not only been lying to her the whole time, he's been supplying weapons to the enemy. Then she's got this whole other level of betrayal of, my entire life has been a lie, because wyvern and venom are real.
And they keep it from us for whatever reason.
On purpose. Like,
we don't know.
She has to battle the fact that her mom knows about this. Her mom, who's the general, knows about this and is actively lying to their people, saying, no, they're griffin attacks, when in reality they're venom and wyvern. And so that's kind of where the whole miscommunication thing starts to blow up. Then you end on the cliffhanger, right? Well, because they make it through the war games. Yay.
Liam dies.
We lose.
It's been my honor. Oh, so sad.
Burn one pour one out for
for
what do they say for Malik?
For Malik.
For Malik. Because Liam, well, and here's the most heartbreaking thing is Liam only dies because his dragon dies because a wyvern killed his dragon, and so he has like minutes to live. I mean, it's hard. It's truly gut wrenching. Then throughout all that as well, there's this, and he'll be a little bit more important later, this side character who's just a freaking psychotic nutcase, Jack effing Barlow, man.
Who's like the bully of the entire book.
But like the worst kind of bully. He's the one that would have thrown me off of the
He would have
parapet.
just yeeted you.
Yep. Too slow, girl. Move it or lose it. I'm like, he's just a complete and utter psychopath. But he's involved with that somehow. I don't remember how. Good news is he dies.
Yep.
You know,
Gets crushed under a rock.
yeah. Good news is he dies. Great news is he's been crushed.
Yep.
There is no sad in any of that.
Yeah.
And so, you know, he knew about it as well.
Yep.
And,
I think isn't the war game ended with Violet yielding lightning and striking or scaring them off or something like that? Doesn't she wield lightning and do something?
Yeah. So, well, her second signet comes into play.
That's right.
That's right. Not even second signet. I don't even know it's her second signet.
Oh, I'm such a dummy. I forgot.
She uses Andarna's power.
Yep.
Which was
she
big.
comes and stops time.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Andarna can stop time, which is the second time it's happened.
Yep.
The first time is when people are trying to murder Violet in her room, and she stops time, and that's when
Xaden comes in
and kind of saves her, and then that's when the lightning strike love happens and all that fun stuff. So we already knew she could stop time, but it severely hinders Andarna.
Yeah, she's like crippled afterwards.
Yeah, she's like in sleep mode for way too long. So this was a big deal. She stopped time for a long time to try to save Xaden, to try to save herself, to try to save Taryn, Liam, everyone. You know, so all that happens, and that's the end. And so they finish the war games, they make it, and Darna goes to sleep for a very, very long time. Jack Barlow dies. Yeah. Liam dies. We get back to it.
Violet's taken somewhere secret to basically get healed, and she wakes up, and the big cliffhanger.
Oh, that's right, because she's severely injured.
Yep, she's like horribly injured.
Is she horribly injured at the war games or for something else?
I think it's at the war games.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah, they take her to get healed, I thought. I could be making that up. Love. I know it was war games. They rush her off to get healed somewhere secret. She doesn't know where she's going.
That's right. That's right. They're still in the war games at the end of book 1.
Yeah.
Like the war games hasn't ended yet. That's the beginning of book 2.
Yep.
So yeah, they're in the war games. She gets severely, severely injured to the point of death. And Xaden, in all of his glory, is like, I got a healer. I got a man. I got a guy for it.
Yep.
Takes her away. And then what do we find out at the end?
Brennan's alive.
Her brother. Huge cliffhanger. And what's worse for her is that Xaden knew.
Yep. And never said anything when she talked about him.
He freaking knew.
I think the last line is "Welcome to the Revolution" or something like that. Nuts.
No. And then we had to wait like a year. It's like curtain closed. You're like, are you effing kidding me right now? Her brother's alive. Rebecca. I thought it was going to be her dad. I'm going to be honest. I thought her dad was alive the whole time.
I thought the exact same thing.
I thought her dad was alive. So the fact that her brother was, I was like, yay. He is a powerful healer. But so yeah, that's where we left at the end of book 1. Brennan's alive. Xaden knew.
Revolution's happening.
Yeah.
Nobody talks about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we don't talk about Bruno.
We're such a mom.
I know. We don't talk about war games. No. Or Venom. And so, yeah, she finds out Venom are real. Wyvern are real. Her dad was right. Her brother is alive. Jack Barlow is dead. She's got 2 signets. Andarna can stop time. Taryn is a lightning help wielder.
It's a lot that happens within like the last 50 pages.
It's a lot. And Xaden is a big fat
liar.
The end.
That's it.
Yeah. So that's where we ended off with Fourth Wing. When you first read it, was it automatic 5 stars?
It was. Yeah.
One
Hands
of them.
down.
One
was
of them.
it for you?
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I was eating.
I was hooked.
I was.
I remember just like I brought it to. This is how you know you're hooked. I brought it to the gym to read between sets and on the treadmill, like a psychopath. You know,
you're like, I gotta get a 60-second rep in. Rest time, active recovery.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So no, I was hooked on it, and so yeah, we reread it. I've both read and listened. I loved the Audible version.
Very good.
It was really, really good. I think the dragon voice changes. I don't remember, but if that was the case, it kind of bothered me. That was the only thing I didn't like about it, is it felt like what started off, I think Taryn's voice changed. I don't know. I could be wrong on that one.
I don't think I picked up on that, but maybe
I don't know.
I read Fourth Wing and I re-listened to Iron Flame.
Gotcha.
So it's probably just the same for me either way.
Yeah. Either way, I recommend both. If you haven't watched it, or sorry, if you haven't listened to it or read it, I'm sorry because we just ruined the whole thing for you.
But you should have been here to begin with.
Yeah, we warned you. It's on you. That sounds like a you problem. No, but if you haven't read it or listened to it, highly recommend.
Very much so.
Yeah, because our next episode, we're going to go into Iron Flame, leading up to the conclusion with Onyx Storm and what our thoughts are. So, yeah.
So excited.
Yeah.
So excited. Join us next episode to talk about Iron Flame.
Yeah. Like and subscribe, send to your friends, and leave nice comments.
Please. We're sensitive.
We are. All right.
Thank y'all so much.
Yeah. Bye.
Catch you next one.